Hello, in this video, I am going to run through my personal Animar Soul of Elements deck and run through all of the creatures, enchantments and artifacts, instants and sorceries, and lands that make up my deck. My deck is an Ancestral Statue combo deck as well, which I'll get into after I read the commander. Animar Soul of Elements is green, a blue, and a red for a legendary creature elemental, with protection from white and black. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a plus encounter on it. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each plus encounter on Animar. Ancestral Statue is 4 colorless for an artifact creature golem. When it enters battlefield, return target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. So the thought here is that once Animar has 4 counters on it, and this costs 0, you can have it enter and then return itself. Cast it for 0, return itself. Cast it for 0, return itself. Infinite counters on Animar, and all of your other synergies are done better as well. So first up, we're going to run through all of the creatures. I already went over Ancestral Statue. So Ancestral Statue is a great card in this deck. Sage of Hours. The deck is not just built around Animar getting counters. It's built around just the deck in general having counters. So let me make this pile a lot more manageable for myself. Sage of Hours is 1 blue and a 1 for a creature, human, wizard. It has Heroic. Whenever you cast a spell, targets that put a plus counter on it. That does not happen super often in this deck. The part we do care about is remove all plus counters from it. For each 5 removed, take an additional turn after this one. If you can get to the point where you're putting 5 counters on it, you get unlimited extra turns. Master Biomancer is 2, a green and a blue for a creature. Elf Wizard is a 2/4. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with a number of plus encounters on it equal to its power and his immunes. The mage does not matter in the future with X-Men, but everything enters 2 additional plus encounters is great. And then as this guy wears counters, everything else also gets bigger. Fireblade Charges are a great thing to wear counters. For 1 right, as long as it's equipped, it has haste. Whenever it dies, deals damage equal to its power to any target. So once you get these things big enough, your opponents can't kill them. Because in theory, they're already at like 25, 30 life by the time this thing's like a 10-10. And as the life goes down and this guy gets bigger, it trades in combat really well, but also prevents your opponents being able to kill them. This deck can put a lot of counters on things. Iron Apprentice also wears counters as well. When it enters, it gets ++1. And when it dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on another target creature you control. When you're building commander decks, it's really fun to have a bunch of big creatures you can play, but sometimes you just need little creatures that start you off with counters. So, Cacophony Scamp, when it dies, it deals damage equal to power of a target, and whenever you come into play, you can sack it to proliferate, so you can trigger it yourself. This is a great way to do that. Loyal Guardian for green 4, it's a creature Rhino with Trample. It's a 4/4 with Lieutenant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, put a bonus counter on each creature you control. Gets more counters in play, including your commander. Heartfire Hero. It's bonkers that all 4 of these have been next, the 3 of these have been next to each other, but Heartfire Hero is 1 red. Creature Mouse Soldier. Valiant, whenever it becomes target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, put a bonus counter on it. And when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. This one's great because it's each opponent's, so getting this 10 counters on this guy is 11 damage to each of your opponents, which is great. Lizard Blades is 1 red and a 1 for a double strike equipment, but you can refigure it for 2, and it can become an equipment. So this thing can wear counters as well because it has double strike, but can also give your other big things double strike. So it fills 2 holes in the deck. It both is a great thing that wears counters, but if you don't have counters on it, it can make something that is wearing counters way better. Stone Coil Serpent is great with Animar because it's just X mana. So Animar can, if Animar has 7 counters, it's a 7/7 reach trample protection from multicolor. That's pretty good. So it scales with your commander, which is good. Rolesque Apex Hybrid for 2, a green and a green, it's and a blue. So legendary creature, human mutants. 4/5. With flying and trample. When it enters, put a 2 counters on another target creature you control, and when it dies, proliferate and then proliferate again. Okay, like Cyber is good. Armorcraft Judge, when it enters, draw a card for each creature you control, they plus a counter on it. There's going to be a lot of cards like this in the deck that draw you cards. And while Armorcraft Judge is not a great card on the surface, because your spells will be reduced by so much, and we're playing little commander creatures as it is anyway, your hand is going to empty really quickly, and you have to have more cards coming in. So like imagine a world where you have 3 creatures with plus counters on it, including Animar, which also has 3 counters on it. This guy costs 1 green and draws you 3 cards, and is a 3/3. That's Ancestral Recall on 3/3, which is great. Ugin's Conjuring, when it enters, it gets X plus opposing counters. It also scales with our commander, and if damage is dealt to it, you can prevent those counters and remove them any plus opposing counters. Not super important, but it does scale with your commander, which is it. Cultivator of Blades in the game day promo. For 3 green, the green is a 1/1 with Fabricate 2. So when it enters, you either make 2 creatures or put 2 plus opposing counters on it. Whenever it attacks, you may have attacking creatures get a +1/+1, or X is power. Just with those counters, everything is +3/+3 when it attacks. If you put 2 more counters on it, everything gets +5/+5. Or you can just make some lives. This card is a really big cube card too, but Pollen Bright Druid. For green and a 1, it's a creature elf druid. When it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, including itself, or you can proliferate. So you can make 2/2, you can proliferate everything, just put a counter on Animar to make things cheaper. Lots of options. Renata, Called to the Hunt, is 2 and a green for legendary enchanting creature demigod. Power is equal to your devotion to green, when each other creature control enters battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. It's important when you have proliferation in the deck to actually have counters to proliferate with. So everything entering the counter is good. And then we're going to get into more creatures later that are like creatures with +1/+1 counters on them get X. They have to have counters on them. Not everything always has counters. Omnath Locus of the Royal is 2, a green, a blue, and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature elemental. When it enters, it deals damage to any target equals the number of elements you control, which is 2. I don't know if you read there. I don't know. But the fact that I like Omnath is because when a land enters under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target elements that you control, which can also be Animar. And if you control 8 or more lands, draw a card. We're very strong on this deck. And being able to enter or just deal 1 damage even, if you Omnath is the only elemental, is still good. Just the 1 damage. I will go through the creatures later and try to see how many elementals are in the deck, but I think it might be the only one. Flux Channeler is 2 and a blue for a human wizard. When you cast it on creature spell, proliferate. As you can see here, plenty of enchantments and artifacts, and as you can see here, plenty of it's not really plenty, but plenty of things to trigger proliferating. Lethal Arsonist. This is the newest card I put in this deck. I have not gotten to play with it yet, but a 2 and a red for a creature human wizard. When an opponent casts a non-creature spell, Gleeful Arsonist deals damage equal to its power to that player, and it has Undying. It can wear counter super well. And then just non-creature spells, Soul Rings, Planeswalkers, Enchantments, Auras. Oh, tons of options. Ramp, tons of options. Workhorse comes into play with 4 counters. You can remove 3, add colors to your mana pool. Wears counters super well and makes exchange cheaper. Plus, as it wears counters in you, remove them, you can pay your commander attached with the colorless. Herd of Baloth, whenever one or more counters are put on it, make a 4/4. There are combos with this card. I don't know if there's combos in this deck with it, probably. But if you have something that says when a creature enters, put a +1 counter on it, on each creature you control or something, put a counters on this, it goes infinite until you stop. So, that's a cool card. Let me put these creatures up here. Second stack of creatures. Alana and Elena, partners. 2, a red and a green for a 2/3 legendary creature human ranger. It has first strike and reach. At the beginning of a combat on your turn, put X ++ counters on another creature control or X's power that creature and taste. If you're only casting like 1 thing a turn, which you're probably not doing in this deck, just giving it haste is always good. So that's a great card, and you can move counters on haste and get haste. Evolution Sage, you're gonna have lands enter. Yeah, just 1 per turn, and proliferating off of that's good. Broadside Bombardiers is 2 and a red for a menace hasting 2/2 Goblin Pirate. Should be pirates because there's 3, but Boast. Sack another creature or artifact. It deals damage equal to 2 plus sacrifice permanent mana value to any target. Wear counter super well. And plus being able to sacrifice things can close out the game. Don't underestimate this card. You need ways to close out the game, and this can close out the game. Aki Battle Squad is red and a 5 for a creature Goblin Samurai 6/6. When 1 or more modified creatures you control attack, and modified is enchanted, equipped to their counters, and this has ++ counters. Untap all modified creatures you control. After this combat phase, there is additional combat phase. It triggers once each turn. An extra combat never hurt anyone. That's all I can say. Bramblewood Paragon. For 1 and a green, it's a warrior 2/2 elf. Each other warrior creature you control comes into play with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. So it's giving all of your big creatures trample, all of your medium creatures trample. Trample is just really hard for your opponents to think about. And if you're playing Commander and you're thinking about decision paralysis or decision fatigue is what you're really talking about here. This idea where as your opponents play more and more Commander in one setting, and they make more and more decisions, they want to make so many good decisions in theory, and so trample, flying, just these things that exhaust them can work in your favor. Scurry Oak, when 1/1/1 counters on it, make a 1/1. Can go infinite in the stack. I have Herd Bailoff right here. I honestly don't remember what it goes infinite with. I'm going to put it to the side in case I can remember. Bloated Contaminator, Trample, Toxic 1 is a 4/4 for 3. When deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. I think this is the only infant I have in this deck. You'll sneak peek the rest of the cards, or at least the creatures. Only infants, but it was a 4/4 for 3 that has Trample, and whenever you combat damage proliferates. Super good. We just talked about your Tramples. Vorinclex Monstrous Raider is 4, a green and a green for legendary creature Phyrexian Praetor. It's a 6/6 with Trample and Haste. If you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put it twice as many instead. If an opponent would put 1 or more counters on a permanent player, put half that many. So you get counters twice as fast. It also has Trample, which means it wears counters very well. I don't really feel the need in this moment to justify why Delving counters is great, so I'm going to go in a cry. State's Wing Spy. For blue and a 3, each creature you control with a ++ counter on it has flying. Gold Knife. Tributary Instructor is 3 and a green for a 4/4 creature Merfolk Shaman. It has Mentor, and whenever a creature you control with ++ counter on it dies, draw a card. You have 3 creatures, board wave happens, you draw 3. And drawing 3 is good. Drawing any amount of cards for your board empty is good. Oran Reef Ooze is 2 and a green for a creature ooze. It enters, put a ++ counter on target creature control. Whenever it attacks, put a ++ counter on each attacking creature with a ++ counter on it. So everything is just 1 more counter. This really isn't like the best card in the deck. This could totally be replaced with a lot of other options. I just don't know the things I'm replacing with right now. Dusk Shell Crawler. I wonder why the Trample and the second Trample and the Flying were all next to each other. And then at the beginning, all those creatures but weather. Dusk Shell Crawler also gives all creatures ++ counters on the Trample, and they can put a counter on anything. So it doesn't have to be itself, but it could be a 1/4 for 2. But you can put a ++ counter on your 4/4 Herd Bailoff, and put a counter on it, make a 4/4, and now the Bailoff has Trample, which is going to be good. Thrumming Bird is blue and a 1 for a flyer, which means it wears counters all. Tefericean Bird Horror 1/1. When you feel coming down with your player proliferate, just move all those counters up. Birds of Paradise. It adds mana, but it also has flying, so it wears counters later in the game well. This has 3 counters on it. It's a 3/4. It's a 3/4. You can back it. Tossy Bear Secrets, a 1/1 indestructible, where it counters well, 4 mana. It attacks each combat. Whenever a creature control does 10 damage to a player, draw a card. That counts trampling over damage, which is great. Incubation Druid, green 1, tap, add 1 mana of any color that a land you control could produce. If it has 3 ++ counters on it, add 3 mana instead. You need as many sources. You play in 3 colors, so you need as many sources of mana as possible. And while the Incubation Druid requires you to already have a land they could tap for that, just how do you know, if you only have 1 red land, giving access to another red land is great. And then plus, you can introduce ++ counters in play, and adds mana. Imperial Recruiter, when it enters search your library for a feature card with power 2 or less, if you let it put it in your hand and shuffle. I'm gonna be honest, when I originally built the deck, I think Imperial Recruiter was to grab the Ancestral Session, and I realized in a game of Commander 2 weeks ago that it does not grab that. It does grab Scurry Oak, but I don't think we've seen a combo with it yet. So I don't really know why it includes in the deck. Play cards under power 2 or less just to fill a hole. Seems good, but I don't really know what hole I'm trying to fill. There's a joke I say when I'm playing Commander, and it's, I hope past Jordan cared about future Jordan enough to put the answer in the deck. I say that when I tutor. Mana Gorger Hydra is 2 and a green for a trample 1/1. whenever a player casts a spell, put a counter on it, it grows with the game. You know, if each player casts an average of 2 spells, every gore on the table is 6, plus your second spell in the turn is 7. So it's going to be 8 when it comes back, and it just gets bigger from there, which is great. Rishkar, the Renegade, Pima Renegade, is green and a 2 for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, put a buzzword counter on each of up to 2 check creatures. Each creature you control the counter has tap add green. Sometimes you see a lot of mana. Forgotten Ancients is 3 and a green for a 0/3 elemental. There's no elemental for you. When a player casts a spell, you may put a ++ counter on it. To begin your upkeep, you move any number of ++ counters from it onto other creatures. Let's say each of your opponents cast 3 spells. There's 6 counters on it. You move it to Animar. Everything costs 6 less. It's pretty good. Vagian. I'm going to say it's good enough. Vagian Graph Mage is 200 blue for a 0/0. Bedelkin Wizard Mutant with Graph 2. This creature comes into play with 2 ++ counters on it. Whenever another creature comes into play, you may move a ++ counter from this creature onto it. And then for the blue one, untap target creature you control with a ++ counter on it. Fun facts. Makes infinite mana with this guy. If this has 3 counters on it, you can tap add blue 1. So you add 3 blue. Untap it, you have an extra blue. Do it again, you're 2 extra blue. And then because you're 2 extra blue, you can tap for red. And then spend 1 blue and 1 red, and now you just go up from it. So you get infinite mana with these. But also just being able to untap things, instant speed is good, and there's a lot of other things that's good with too. Herald of Secret Streams is blue 3 for a 2/3 warrior merfolk. Creature you control with ++ counter element can be blocked. Unblockable. You have big things, you have medium things. You really need big things. Medium things, you have 4 4/4s, that's 16 damage. They're not going to last that long. Fathom Mage and Foil. For 2 a green, the blue is a 1/1 human wizard with Evolve. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a ++ counter on this creature. And when a counter is put on it, you may draw a card. That's the important part. Let's just, we're proliferating a lot. We're putting counters on things randomly. We can draw some cards. Handerback Walker for XX is an artifact creature construct. Enters with X ++ counters on it. Whenever it dies, create 1/1s. And then you pay 1 tap, put a ++ counter on it. With our commander, if its power, it has 6 counters and that 3/3 for free, plus you can add to it. And when those soldiers die, you get more things. Protean Hydra is green X for a creature Hydra and enters with X ++ counters on it. So for 1 green, and then 6 counters, that's 6. Damage will be dealt to it, you prevent it, and move them any counters from it. And then whenever a ++ counters are removed from it, put 2 ++ counters on it at the beginning of the next end step. And that's during every player's turn. So those are all the creatures. Put on a pile. Found a couple more elementals there. Now I'm going to go into instants and enchantments and artifacts. Civic Ascendancy is green blue for an enchantment. 1 green blue, put a ++ counter on take a creature you control. Whenever 1 or more ++ counters are put in a creature you control, put that many growth counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, if it has 20 or more counters on it, you win the game. So if you have 20 instances of counters, ++ counters you can put on things, you can win the game with Civic Ascendancy. Garrus Uprising is green 2. When it enters, if you control a creature's power 4, you're going to draw a card. Creatures you control trample, which is good. Whenever a creature's power 4 enters under your control, draw a card. Happens occasionally. You have a couple, 4 or 5s. Important part. Creature control trample. It's very good. Arcane Signet. Every deck, since when a Eldraine Commander came out, we'll play Arcane Signet for the rest of the time. Rhythm of the Wilds is 1 red and a green for an enchantment. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Non-total creature control have right. If you already have a ++ counter on everything enabler, just hit him in haste. If you don't, add advantage to the ++ counter. Embercleave is 4 a red and a red for a legendary artifact equipment with flash. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, attach target creature you control. Critical creature's ++1 has double strike and trample. You can just one-shot a player out of nowhere. Let's say your Animar has 9 ++ counters on it, so it's a 10/10. Throw Embercleave on it into the speed. They decide not to block, so you put it on it. You get to their counter. You get a ++ for Embercleave. To 11/11, it does double strike and kills the opponent in 1 shot. That was a good mana damage. Swiftfoot Boots is 2 mana for an artifact equipment. Each equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Protection from white and black is good, but sometimes you need more protection. follower zone. I would imagine maniple is an anime of any type that a land's opponent controls could produce. So, if you're playing 3 colors, most likely one of your 3 commander opponents are playing either blue or green or red or a combination of those or across all of them. So for 2 mana, it's just as good as Arcane Signet comes in and play on taps. You're playing 3 colors is great. Skull Clamp, 1 Eclipse creature gets +1/-1. Whenever Eclipse creature dies, draw 2 cards. Lightning Greaves, Hasten Shroud, Hardened Scales. You're putting counters on things. If one or more plus counter you put under creature control, put that many +1. All of your proliferating, all of your when it enters with a counter. There's lots of reasons why it's good. We're going to say Study. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. Just to say you gotta draw cards. Guardian Project is 3 and a green for an enchantment whenever a non-token creature enters under your control. If it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, draw a card. All of your creatures have different names. You need to draw a card in this deck, so you can use Guardian Project to do it. Inexorable Tide is 3 a blue and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. Proliferate counters. Radiation is an invisible tide that seeps into the bones of the land, changing it irrevocably. Thanks for Tide. Bread for the Huts. This is a cool little card. Has a little bit of it's too big up top, too small on the bottom. Has a little printer about. Bread for the Hunt is 1 green and a blue for enchantment. Whenever you control a counter to the coming out of this player, you may draw a card. Your hand's gonna get empty really fast. All will be 1. Red 3 enchantment. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, it deals that much damage to target opponents, creature an opponent controls, or planeswalker an opponent controls. I think there's a combo of this in the deck. And it's really bad of me there's 22 minutes and I can't remember what it is. But I'll put it to the side. Rancor is 1 green for the enchantments. It enchants creature. Each enchant creature is +2/+0 and has trample. When it is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, return to its owner's hand. So you just continuously get trample onto your things, which, as I keep saying, in deck, they have a lot of plus counters, and a 5/5 into 6/6, and they just block with a 1/1 silent. Does no good for you, so give it a trample. Simic Signet. Gotta have Signets. Not really, but you gotta have mana. Soul Ring, 1 mana, artifacts, tap, add, colorless, Soul Ring. Minister Kamor is 1 blue for an enchantment, cumulative upkeep of 1. Whenever an opponent successfully casts a non-creature's value, you draw a card. They just pay 4 to cancel it. Those are all the enchantments and artifacts. They send that card. You need to draw cards. I keep saying that. So, Steady Progress. This is the instants and sorceries. For blue and a 2 is an instant with Proliferate, and then draw a card. Inspiring Call. If it's grade 2 for an instant, draw a card for each creature you control and call a counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible till on turn. It's an instant, so it can, you attacked and they surprised you. You can block their attack because it is indestructible, or block their blocks, or they board wiped, or they dealt blasphemous act damage to things. Giving your creature indestructible and drawing cards at the same time is great. And Divination is 3 mana, so if you have 2 creatures with a counter on when you cast this, you can just cast it as a Divination. Bolt Charge, deals 3 damage to any target, and then Proliferate, so it's removal on top of Proliferate. Talisman of Creativity is an artifact. Should totally be doing those, but it's just another mana rock. Obscuring Haze is green 2. If you control your commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. Prevent all damage to be dealt this turn by creatures your opponent's control. You're going to be able to kill the players quickly but slowly, and they're going to attack you. So my idea here is that if you kill 2 of your opponents and it's just you and the player across from you, you can use this to they all out attack. Use because they all attacked. You can, they all tapped, they attacked, you prevent all the damage, you go to your turn, you kill them. Continuous plan. Blue 1, Proliferate, draw card. Get more counters on things and cycle. Now all of the lands. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, unless there's something interesting. Stomping Ground, Sulphur Falls, Shivering Reef, Command Tower, Scalding Tarn, Flighty Grove, Yavimaya Ghost, Spire Garden, Rock, Fall, Vale, Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, Mountain, Misty Rainforest, Catch a Triumph, Passage over Ruined Doors, Storm Carved Coast, Tide Channel Pathway, Exotic Orchard, Island, Training Center, Verdant Catacombs, Dream Root Cascade, Forests, Steam Vents, Breeding Pool, Khan's Bastion, and put that in the back, Rejuvenating Springs, Root Bound Crag, Compulsian Forest, Hinterland Harbor, and then the only utility land here is Khan's Bastion, 4-tap, Proliferate, and more Proliferates into the deck. Ooh, I shook the camera. And that is my Animar deck as a whole. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. If you're building one, what cards are you excited for, including yours? I hope you have a good rest of your day, and may your top decks be ever in your favor.